This dog has been living life under the blazing sun his whole life. She behaves in a very uncommon manner, laying out in the sun instead of trying to hide away. Many rescue teams have taken a keen interest in her. When they finally rescued her, they uncovered a shocking reason for her strange behavior. The climate in Bakersfield, California resembles that of a desert, which translates to their summers being long and scorching while they get brief winter days. Every year this place experiences 108 afternoons where the temperatures rise above 90 degrees Fahrenheit. They observe 2 days crossing 110 degrees Fahrenheit as well. Keeping all this in mind, Bakersfield is indeed a very hot place to live in. This type of extreme weather could most definitely affect an animal's health. Dogs usually suffer from deadly heat strokes as they are unable to sweat off the blazing temperature. Their only ways to get rid of their heat is through their nose and tongue, and sometimes panting helps. But the fur they are covered in is not ideal for such type of heat. Therefore, many pet owners restrict how long or how much they expose them to the sun. Many dogs do not have the choice to stay off of the sun. In summer 2015, a local residing in Bakersfield grew concerned as one dog was heavily exposed to the outdoors. The temperature was as high as 100 degrees, but the dog never seemed to mind. The dog would go to a nearby irrigation to quench her thirst. Then she takes a quick swim to cool herself off. The rest of the day, the pooch would remain basked in the sun, bare and raw. She never even seemed to try and find a way out of the sun. The people who saw the dog eventually called No Kill Kern for help. This dog rescue organization makes an effort to save dogs from kill shelter, finding them adopters. When they contacted them, they expressed keen interest in trying to help the heat-burdened dog. When the No Kill Kern crew reached the desert, they were very puzzled as to why the dog kept running to the dried areas of the field. They made a decision to follow the dog on its journey. They soon found out why, and it was far from anything they had ever expected. "We had to figure out why she kept returning to that spot, so we slowly approached," a post on No Kill Kern's website said. "That's when we saw the body of another dog who had been struck down by a car, badly decomposed, but almost every piece remained. She was guarding her fallen friend. The loyalty of this dog shone through, as it did not want to leave her friend even if the heat was affecting her health." The rescue team then decided that it was time to help the poor dog to have a new life. However, it was going to be very tough. The task became truly difficult. "It was one of the hardest rescues I've ever been a part of," said a rescuer. "When we saved this dog, we didn't have a dog trap. Everything would have to be freehand, in a field, in the middle of nothing, with miles for her to run in each direction." Even after 3 days, the team was still unsuccessful in capturing the dog. They finally decided to lure the dog using her emotions. While she was away drinking water, the team moved the remains of her companion into a neighbor's backyard. The dog then suspected that something was wrong, and after 12 hours sneaked into the yard to find her friend. As soon as she fell asleep, they captured her. They could finally get her on a leash, and finally, she was captured. They gave her a name, Hachiko, after Hachiko, a famously loyal Japanese dog who did not know that his master had died, that waited 9 years for his return. They have a good guess that the remains would be a problem to dispose of. They came up with a conclusion at last. Hachiko was taken to the vet. She was healthy, so the No Kill Kern members had her spayed and placed her into foster care. After all of this, she was ready to begin a new life. But what about her friend? The rescue team wanted to celebrate Hachiko's loyalty. Her friend's bones were collected and it was cremated. They kept the ashes in a small trinket for the two to remain with one another. Now Hachiko could carry her friend with her wherever she went. No Kill Kern explained that the option to leave Hachiko's companion was never there. "We owe it to this dog to see that they are taken care of," the organization posted on their social media. "We couldn't leave the remains in the field, that was her best friend. She didn't leave them, so how could we?" Hachiko went on to become one of the most active and happy dogs there. "Hachiko never fails to provide us with a huge grinning face and thousands of moments of pure joy," read an update on the No Kill Kern Facebook post back in 2015. "We couldn't be more pleased to have her safely in our care. She is being fostered by one of our amazing friends and never falls short in displaying her amazing intelligence to us," he further explained. "This girl is awesome, and her loyalty to her friend shows us that no matter what happens, we can always keep smiling." Hachiko made some new friends ultimately. A family that had 2 dogs adopted the pup. Although Hachiko received a home, even the family got something in return. They gained a new friendship that would go on to show loyalty that even death could never take away. If you enjoyed this story, wait for our next story starting in 10 seconds. After this teen was given just weeks to live, his dying wish was to marry his high school sweetheart. Florida teenager Dustin Snyder knew that he didn't have much time left on this earth. But there was something important that he felt compelled to do before his time came. His girlfriend had stuck by his side during the hardest of times, and he was ready to show her the ultimate commitment. Dustin Snyder is a 19-year-old with what can only be described as a truly heartbreaking story. He and the love of his life, Sierra Severio, have been through an incredible amount together. And now, for the most tragic of reasons, their story has hit newspapers worldwide. Snyder and Severio first met in middle school. They dated for a while, but sadly it fizzled out when Snyder moved away. But they had unfinished business. The pair met up again when they were a little older, and they began dating once more. However, they weren't typical young and carefree teenage sweethearts. That's because in June 2016 they got some devastating news. It was the eve of Snyder's 18th birthday when his world was turned upside. Doctors told him that he had a form of cancer called synovial sarcoma. Surgery was required to remove the cancerous mass in his lung. After that, Snyder had a bout of chemotherapy. All the while, his loving girlfriend stayed close by his side to help him through it. Then, thankfully, they got the news that Snyder had beaten the cancer. However, the celebrations didn't last for very long. Within 2 months, Snyder's cancer had returned. The teenager had to face more treatment, but thankfully, he managed to beat it for a second time. But in a horrible twist of fate, there was more bad news right around the corner. In December 2017, the cancer had come back once more. Snyder had been suffering from severe pain in his abdomen, and after he underwent some tests it was revealed that he had tumors in his stomach and pelvis this time. And the prognosis wasn't good at all. Snyder was given the horrifying news that he had only a few weeks left to live. Despite only being 19 years old, he had to deal with the thought that he would have to leave his nearest and dearest behind. But he knew exactly how he wanted to spend his final weeks. He thought of Severio and how much she had been there for him throughout his cancer journey. Although they wouldn't be able to grow old together, Snyder was determined to spend the rest of his shortened life with her. So he did something huge. Over dinner, Snyder presented his sweetheart with roses, and then he asked her to marry him. And the answer was yes. With a limited amount of time left, the couple and their families sprang into action. They had a wedding to plan. First of all, Snyder's sister posted a message on Facebook, asking the online community for a tux and a bridal dress. The plan was to host the impromptu wedding in the Snyder family's backyard, and the guests would be the ones to provide the food. Snyder's mom, Cassandra Fondan, told the Washington Post how the charity, Good Samaritans, got involved and sent them a wedding gown and rings for the big day. Not only that, but kind strangers donated almost $40,000 via a GoFundMe page that was set up by the Snyder's sister. Before long, the family had everything ready for the wedding day, and it was set to be a highly emotional occasion. The stage for the nuptials was a barn at a farmer's market near the Snyder's Florida home, and everyone was hoping that Snyder would be well enough to attend. Thankfully, Snyder found the strength to meet his bride at the altar on Sunday, January 28, 2018. That's when he said something poignant to Severio. "I wouldn't want to be standing here with anyone else," he told her, "because you are the love of my life." Then the newly married couple shared their first dance in front of friends and family. They swayed to Ed Sheeran's song, Perfect, undoubtedly bringing some people in the room to tears. The bride herself was also crying when she watched her man dance with his doting mom. Speaking to the Washington Post, Fondan said that the wedding wouldn't really change much for the couple. "It's just going to make both of them happy," she said. And that's what it's all about. All that she wanted was to see her son fulfill his dying wish. And to Snyder, getting married was the obvious thing to do. Ever since his first surgery, Severio had been by his side, no matter what. "That's when I knew she was the one, and I didn't want her to leave my life," the teenager told WTSP News. "She's the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with," he told the Washington Post only 2 days before the wedding. "I love her. She's been there for me through this whole process. Now that it's official, the couple can focus on making the most of whatever time they have left together." A wedding guest, Nicole Jordan Roberts, told People that although Snyder was weak, he did really well on the big day to stay strong. "We wanted to make this the best day for the two of them, and it really was," she said. Snyder and his wife may have a very limited amount of time left, but there's no doubt that they will both dearly treasure the memory of their wedding day. Thankfully, the couple had the chance to show their love and commitment to one another in what must have been a beautiful ceremony surrounded by friends and family.